The new cool thing among celebrities, I guess, is tweeting about the kidnapped girls in Nigeria. And one man who's noticed that this is the new cool is Rusty Humphries of the Washington Times. Rusty, welcome back to Smart Life. Good to have you.
Thank you, Gina.
Is this a little too little and a little too late in the face of terror that we've faced throughout this administration's reign? And now they send these negotiators to negotiate with these terrorists. We didn't do any of that before. Is this a new change in policy, Rusty?
Well, first of all, this is not, I can't just blame the Obama administration. The Bush administration did this before. Clinton did it before. Bush 1 did it before. The problem is that we don't take these terrorists at their word. We don't seem to believe them. We keep saying, oh gosh, you silly Muslims, you're not really going to do those stupid things. And Dr. Gina, I've met with terrorists. I've had repeatedly guns in my back, threats on my life. I've talked to them. I understand them. They enjoy telling you what they're going to do. It's part of the fun because what is it that they like to do? They like to terrorize people.
Yeah.
They want to scare them.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, what I don't understand, though, is that Hillary Clinton's State Department refused over and over and over to brand this group as terrorists. She didn't want to do it. Now, all of a sudden, she's one of those holding the hashtag signs. How do you make sense of this?
Well, the reason she didn't want to declare them as a terrorist group is because they're Al-Qaeda affiliated. And of course, as you recall, according to President Obama, Al-Qaeda was on the run. They've been decimated. They don't mean anything. So by declaring Boko Haram as a terrorist organization, that would have to acknowledge that we aren't doing as well with Al-Qaeda as the president would suggest. But Hillary's now focused on running for president. And so she's going to look tough and she's going to do all of these things and hope that people forget the past.
Boko Haram snatched 270 girls, said he will sell them in the market by Allah. He will marry off a woman at the age of 12, a girl at the age of 9. Is this contradictory to any of the things Muhammad said? I mean, is this in line with the general attitude of Islam?
It actually is. Muhammad's favorite wife, her name was Aisha. They married she was 6, I believe, and they consummated it when she was 9. And this was what he considered his favorite wife. And so again, if I believe that Jesus was the perfect life, the life to emulate, they believe Muhammad is the perfect life to emulate. And this is why I'm so concerned about Sharia law being accepted and not and being ignored as if something is wrong with it. It is. It's legal to marry girls at the age of 9. And that's just not acceptable in our civilization. However, there's a lot of things that are acceptable today that 15, 20 years ago we would never have imagined being acceptable.
Yeah, we're going to get to some of those topics here in just a moment with you. But one of the things that you'll hear critics say is, hey, there are some bad things that happen in the Bible too. I mean, people had multiple wives. They did marry girls younger. There were things going on. There were killings in the Bible that were rather violent in the Old Testament. I just had Robert Spencer on, and he said, but these things aren't happening modern day. The New Testament clarified all that. But what is your defense? Because I know you get these questions too, so I just want to get your wisdom on this.
Well, again, we're talking about acts that happened over 2,000 years ago in some in cases, and slavery is something that's horrible. Okay, but it has happened in every single civilization in our past. What is the difference with Western civilization? We ended it. Except there is still slavery going on in places like Africa. Dr. Gina, I went to Africa. I went to Sudan. I went to Darfur. I met people who were slaves the day before, and not just a couple of them. I met hundreds of them. This is happening right now, and we got Al Sharpton around, riling people up, telling them to be mad because their ancestors were slaves over 100 years ago, yet not paying attention to the slaves that are happening right now until Michelle Obama puts up a Twitter hashtag Save Our Girls.
Yeah, and we don't hear a lot about that. You're absolutely right. And slavery takes on many forms. I think a lot of the things our government is doing to make people dependent and keep them down might qualify as slavery by some standards as well. There's a little Duck Dynasty Light situation going on. I wanted to see if you knew about this. Speaking of our culture, Rusty, HGTV has canceled the home flipping series with these hosts. They've labeled them anti-gay. I have yet to find a quote that from them that is in any way anti-gay, but their father was a pro-life activist. Have we come to a point in our history, Rusty, where if your father was a pro-life activist, you should lose your television show over that? You're very well acquainted with the entertainment business, and I want to talk about that with you next. But first, I want your comment on this.
Well, we have a problem in this society right now, and that is the people who claim to be the most tolerant have become the least tolerant. And no matter, we are our brother's keeper. We're now being charged with crimes that our parents commit. This is just not healthy. What is the next step and the next step after that? And these are the things that we have to be concerned with. I believe in freedom of speech, and that speech that needs most protecting is that speech that people don't necessarily like. Now, there's a difference between speech and that speech that turns into actions, physical violence. That needs to be stopped. But people have a right and a responsibility to have thoughts in their own head. That's a good thing. And the left wants to shut that down.
Yeah, they sure do. One other example that I just saw, and I was fascinated by this. There's a 15-year-old boy who's decided he doesn't want to say the Pledge of Allegiance because he believes our government has become too big and too overwhelming. And between the NSA spying and the TSA taking pictures of us and all the rest of it, he just doesn't want to pledge allegiance to the government anymore. And so he sat down, and now he's in big trouble because the school is demanding that he stands for the Pledge of Allegiance. This is a bizarre conflict. I'm not sure I have a decision on it, but I wanted to get your statement on it.
That's the first I've heard of it, but I would say, would this school be as angry if he said he didn't want to say it because of the words under God? It's okay to pledge allegiance to the big government or the government that is many people's quote unquote God. But when you talk about the real God, you can't say it. So again, we do have freedom of speech, and we have freedom to not give speech, and we have freedom to not pledge allegiance to our country should we choose. There's a lot of slippery slopes there as well. But I'd like to see what an atheist's punishment would be in comparison.
Yeah, be interesting. But it is important that we recognize the speech that we don't like, as you said, is still qualifies under that First Amendment right, no matter what. I want to get to the entertainment business because you are intimately involved, not only in writing for the Washington Times, but you are in movies. I've actually seen you in movies, and you have some new. Well, you're also in books. I don't know how you get your tentacles in all of these elements in media, but tell us what you have coming up on the airwaves for us. We'll be so excited to see you.
Let's see.
That's on the silver screen, not
we
the
just
airwaves.
we just did the world premiere of a movie called Love by Design. It's with Jane Seymour. It's a romantic comedy that we filmed in Bucharest, Romania. And then that was a lot of fun. We had to use Bucharest as New York because it's cheaper to fly everybody to Bucharest and shoot New York than it is to take everybody to New York because of the unions there. So that's coming up. And then I'm also in the movie Atlas Shrugged 3, who is John Galt. So that'll be fun as well.
So now I'm just wondering, Rusty, like do you go for these cattle calls and stand there in the little line and do your little audition, or how exactly is it that you've become the big Rusty Humphries movie star? You were a radio guy, you were a writer, and now you're a movie star.
When you're this good looking, Dr. Gina, as you know, people just come calling, and there's just not much you can do about it.
The opportunities just fall in your lap.
That's right. No, I've auditioned for a couple of things, and it's odd. But I also, as a guy that's been in the media for a long time, I'm getting very old. I have a chance to meet some of the people in the business. A good friend of mine, Michael Damian, for example, was the director of Love by Design, who I met in 1989, and we've been very good friends. He's in Romania right now shooting a dance movie right now called High Strung. So it's just a lot of fun, and I get bored very easy. So I like to have my fingers in a lot of different things.
And I have to keep from flushing when you mention Michael Damian.
I know you love him, don't you? You love Michael Damian.
He was so cute on my soap opera while I was growing up. I absolutely love him. And you told me sometime I get to go to dinner with him. I'm still waiting on that. But Rusty,
well, when they get back from Bucharest, you, me, and his wife Janine, we're going.
All right, that sounds good. We wish you all of the continued success that is possible in this world on all of your upcoming projects. You certainly keep it exciting, Rusty, and we'll be looking forward to that. Where can folks find you?
WashingtonTimes.com, or talk to Rusty on Twitter, and talk to the number 2 on Facebook. So, Dr. Gina, right back at you, darling, and it's always great to see you.
Thanks so much, Rusty. We appreciate you.